Go ahead and cut the music. Go ahead and cut the music. Go ahead and cut the music. All right, you guys. So those of you who can't open up your cameras, please do. Some of you guys are working. I get it. I understand. So if you cannot, or you're driving and you're commuting, obviously, please be safe out there. But welcome to the Winner Circle, you guys. It is Thursday morning. It is July 23rd, right? 2026. And today's a great day to have a great day. I wanted to talk to you guys this morning a little bit about, and I'm going to open up this call and we're going to share a little bit about something called our whys, right? But, okay, I want to give it context. I want to give it context because when I first heard about a why, when I first joined this business and I started speaking the language of why and hearing the language of why, I actually thought it was a little cliche. Anybody else? Was I the only one? Thought that, talking about a why was a little cliche? Was I the only person? I guess I was the only one. Okay. So I thought that that was a little cliche. Every company that I would go to, they would say, "Oh, what's your why? What's your why? What's your why?" Right? How many of you guys have ever heard people say things like they don't want it? Anybody ever heard somebody say things like that? They don't really want it bad enough, right? Yeah. Give me something. Anybody? Hand up, something, thumbs up. Yeah? Okay. Good stuff, right? So, the reason that I'm framing the call this morning this way is because sometimes I feel like people talk about it and wanting it, but not really or never really defining what it really is, right? For them, right? Because whatever it is going to be different from one person to the next. But if you have not truly defined it for you, okay, you're going to default to some very toxic behavior. So let's talk about it real quick, okay? So, one of the most dangerous words in entrepreneurship is it. All right. And I want you guys to take notes on this, okay? If you got a pen and pad, please, 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 please take some notes because what you take for granted gets taken from you. All right. So I want you guys to take some notes. You hear people say, "I want it. I'm trying to get it. Once I get it, everything will change." But when you ask them what it is, it's silence. Okay. Because it's not really defined. And this is a little book that I read called the Bible. You guys may have read it before, but it says, "Where there is no vision, people perish." Right? And so perishing, you guys, in business, it doesn't always mean dying. In business, it means getting distracted. You're losing discipline. Maybe you're settling for mediocrity. Maybe you're just drifting. You're coasting. Okay. But people usually fall or fail because they don't fail because they lack opportunity, you guys. They don't fail because they lack a solid platform. They don't fail because the business isn't viable. They fail because they lack clarity. See, when I don't have clarity on my why, when I don't have clarity on whatever it is that I'm after, right? Then I could be casual about this business. The calls become optional. Going to convention becomes a choice. But the people who are defining it and understand what it truly is, and they understand their why, and their reasons are locked in, it's nothing, it's not an option anymore. Okay. So, how many of you guys have ever heard of this concept called sympathetic system and parasympathetic nervous system? Anybody ever heard of that concept before? So, the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous systems, right? So, the parasympathetic nervous system is the sympathetic nervous system that's wired on your survival. It's your fight or flight mechanism. And it's a default setting that we all have that protects us, right, from anything that represents a challenge or anything that represents discomfort. But if you don't have a vision, Tammy, that overrides that parasympathetic nervous system, you can find yourself sitting on the couch watching Netflix. You can find yourself while everybody's at convention justifying why you didn't go there and why you didn't participate in your destiny. So what are some of the default settings or the toxic behaviors? And then I'm going to open this up and I want us to all kind of participate in what your why is. Okay, so I want you guys to get ready. Okay, because I don't want this to just be a call where I'm doing all the speaking. I want y'all to speak on y'all business today. Okay, because if you don't language your business and your business doesn't have a voice, you actually don't have a business. I'm going to say that one more time. If your business does not have a voice, okay, you don't have a business. When you cut your TV on, right, all that is, or even if you scrolling through your Facebook feeds and you see those ads, those are people who are vocalizing their vision. In fact, the word television means to tell your vision and giving it audible recognition. And all of you guys are individual broadcasts for your vision. And where do you start? Right here. If you don't start cultivating that here, you can't go pay for a $10,000 billboard and expect people to pay attention. You got to start in the small spaces, right? Me and Hans had this great conversation the other day, and we were talking about fire drills. You ever been at work, right? And you have that routine fire drill, and everybody like, another routine fire drill. And everybody casual about the fire drill. Anybody ever had that feeling at work before? Right? It's like, we got this routine fire drill. But the people who took the routine fire drill seriously, when an actual fire happened, right? It saved their life. And the people who did not, they didn't know, don't take the elevator. You could only take the stairs during a fire. And oh my God, everybody's downstairs in the lobby because they follow protocol, because they came to the drills. But it's 3 people on the elevator because they missed the memo. And all we can do is pray for them now, Tammy. Well, it's the same thing in this business. See, the winner's circle is the fire drill. The wealth formula on Tuesday nights, right? It's a presentation, but for those of you who are building a business, that's a fire drill. The infinite 8 training, that's the fire drill. Because you don't have to have a oh my God moment when you actually have a fire. What does a real fire look like? A real client's in front of you now needing your help. But you didn't come to the fire drill. You didn't take the fire drill protocol seriously, right? And I'm not saying you guys, so don't personalize this. This is a mastermind for adults who are in business, okay? And the language of business is honest. So please, please, please don't take anything I'm saying personally today, all right? Again, I'm talking to adults. Y'all got kids and everything. So I know y'all grown. Okay? So, but conceptually, people who don't come to the fire drill, now all of a sudden, this success is in front of me, this potential success is in front of me, and I'm not prepared. Right? So, what happens though when people don't define their why? If we don't have a clear vision, because a lot of times people think it's the company, the slides, the leadership, right, Kyrie? They saying, oh my God, we don't got enough training on this. We don't got enough training on that. I beg to differ. And it's not that we have a company problem. We've got a vision, clarity problem. How is it that somebody standing right next to you on the same platform is having 10K months? And some people are having $500 months. It's not the company. It's not the platform. It's not the slides. It's not the trainings. We just sometimes need to revisit our vision, revisit our why, and get some clarity around what it looks like for us. So one of the behaviors that what happens is when we don't have clarity, we default, you guys, to some very toxic coping mechanisms. Are y'all following me? We all do it. Nobody's exempt. See, when we don't thrive and we're not thriving, we default to surviving. And it's fight or flight. And you know what surviving looks like for adults who have intellects? They can intellectualize their way out of a good opportunity. And they say things like, you know what? I tried that, the life insurance game. It seemed like everybody just on the same stuff. It really ain't for me. And it's like, you cute, it sound cool. But the truth of the matter is, maybe you had a vision problem. Maybe you had an accountability problem. Maybe just maybe you didn't know how to hold yourself responsible enough to check the necessary boxes to make it work. So what do we default to? We default to survival. So one of the things, write this down. Number one, toxic behaviors that replace vision. Let's get into it. Comfort becomes the goal. Right? You ever I've done it. You know what? I really don't feel like running no appointments today. It's been a busy week. Right? My wife's in there looking comfortable, representing all kind of convenience, food, comfort. You know what I'm saying? Got the house smelling good. I'm like, you know what? Today, I'm going to just fall back. Right? I'm laughing at me because I do it. I'm laughing because it's familiar. And I know we all do it. Right? But without a strong vision, people begin protecting comfort instead of pursuing growth. But comfort always competes against greatness. And it's when you do it one time, it's easier to do it again. And that's the danger in it. See, it start off, Kyrie, with a Netflix movie, but before you know it, you wrapped up in a three-part series. You gotta watch the next episode. Right? You gotta watch the next episode. You wrapped up in a series now. You went from one day and I'm about to just let some air out the tire to Friday turn into Saturday. Now it's Fridays and Saturdays every week. At the cost of your momentum. At the cost of your dream, at the cost of your it, whatever it is. But here's the thing. If we have not defined what it is, Beck, it's easy to go Friday and Saturday next week again. Off the grid, not popping up, convenient excuses. Because we all can elaborate some amazing excuses. We all got families. We all got kids, right? We got other obligations. But I promise you, if you want to do something great, you can't use those outlets. Number two, discipline becomes optional. See, vision says I have to, comfort says I'll do it tomorrow. Successful people don't negotiate the disciplines. This is why in our 90-day BD, we say 5 years of focus, 5 years of focus, 5 years of focus. I don't have a weekend schedule. I just got a schedule. Saturdays and Sundays is a W-2 concept. It's an inherited belief system that does not coincide with your goals to be successful as an entrepreneur. See, if someone gives you your framing, they control the circumference of your vision and then they determine your value. So you have to question what belief systems you're operating on that's been given to you, that you just accepted hook, line, and sink. Who gave you the terminology weekday and weekend? An employer. So if I'm breaking out of the employer state of mind, I can no longer use that language. So I don't have a weekend. Number three, casualness replaces commitment. And I always say, write this down, being casual in business, you will become a casualty. If you are casual in business, you will become a casualty. The business becomes when I feel like it instead of this is who I am. See, somebody last night was talking about their goals. I think it was Marilyn Granado, and she said, I want to be. I said, she gets it. She didn't even have to say nothing else because she had an identity goal. She said, I want to be the person that says, when everybody thinks of finance, they think of me. I said, wow, she gets it. This is who I am. Casual people produce results instead of identity. Okay. Number four, complaining replaces creating. Somebody says scrolling is not a strategy. See, when vision disappears, energy shifts from solving problems to discussing problems. Oh, man. Right? I'm going to say that one more time. When vision disappears, energy shifts from solving problems to discussing problems. So write this down. Those of you who are future millionaires, the problem I find is the problem I fix. It's your responsibility to fix whatever problem you discover on the platform, in the company. It's an attitude of ownership. I got some business owners on the line right now. I see a Clifford Steele on the line. Barber, if he sees some hair on the floor, he's not going to stand around and say, hey, whose hair is this on the floor? He's a barbershop owner. This is my floor. I'm going to sweep the floor. And I'm not going to amplify it. I'm not going to make it a thing because we got stuff to do. We got people to serve. But if I start platforming problems becomes culture. Right? So builders ask, how do we fix it? Victims ask, whose fault is it? Right? You got to be careful from being around people or just identifying that mindset in people that's always looking to find blame. Because that's one of their coping mechanisms. And they may have brought that here. Right? And you as future leaders, you have to say, hey, we don't do that here. We don't wait till we get off the call to start discussing how something happened on the call that we didn't like. We have to be solution driven. And if I see something in someone that I don't like, and then it's just my responsibility to fix it within myself, to say, hey, you know what? I got to make sure I never become that way. If it's something or somebody that I cannot reach out to, right? Gossip replaces growth. Number five, gossip replaces growth. Okay. People with no mission often become fascinated with other people's business. See, when your vision is clear, you don't really have time to worry about somebody else's business and what they doing and what they not doing, how they spoke, how they misspoke, what they said, what they should have said, what they didn't say, right? Busy builders rarely have time for gossip. And it's not always gossiping about people. It's just talking about the platform. It's talking about, comparing this company with that company. And, because I remember when I used to be with PHP and I remember when I was with FFL and I remember when, because the GFI people, and that's just your conversation all day long. Who cares? I don't care. What they eat don't make me. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all can finish that sentence, right? I don't care. You know what I care about? I care about the people in this space, and I care about serving the people in this space's business because everything is possible here for you. So I don't care about GFI and what they got going on. I don't care about FFL and what they got going on. I don't care. If you ain't talking about OIC, listen, who cares? 7, comparison replaces confidence. Okay? Instead of asking, who am I becoming? They ask, what is everyone else doing? Never, never, never compare yourself to somebody else's business, you guys. This is why scrolling is dangerous because you looking at people's highlight reels, right? You comparing your 8 months to their 8 years. And it's a disadvantage for you, right? Number 8, emotions replace consistency. Okay? When people don't have a clear vision, they start working based on their moods instead of their mission. Okay? How do I feel rather than what does today require? See, what does today require of me despite how I feel? Despite how I feel. I see some mommies on the line, and I always take my hat off to the mommies that show up, you know, despite what's going on, right? Despite what's happening in the background, despite the kids that's pulling on them. You know what I mean? Like they still show up, and it's so commendable because men, let's be honest, you know what I'm saying? We be through off of we didn't have the right cup of coffee at the right time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, we so regimented and routine. It's like if something, one little thing be off, we be through off for the whole day. We don't get right till 6 p.m. You know what I'm saying? It's like all bad. But the mommies, they be like, man, one hand they got the kids and they dropping them off. I mean, y'all seen how Marlena showed up last night on the call, dropped the kids off, hosted the call. I was like, man, I don't know if I could do that. That's amazing because they're operating based on what's required rather than how they feel. In fact, Kim last night she was yelling at the kids in the background, right? But she was on a call. She was on the call, right? And so when we don't have vision, though, you guys, it's easier for us to default to how we feel. Every morning, write this down. Every morning you wake up, understand that you're choosing either comfort or calling. It's no in between. You're either choosing comfort or calling. And if you're honest with yourself, and if you look at your financial situation right now, and I don't care if you got money, because if you got some money, you probably don't got time. And if you got a lot of time, you probably don't got no money. And if you look at your situation right now, ask yourself, can I figuratively and literally afford a day off my destiny? Can I literally and figuratively afford a day off my dream? Because if not, and you take a day off, you're disrespecting your future self. Is the person 10 years from now going to be thanking you for the decisions that you made today? Or are you going to be regretting it? Because in the words of the late, great Jim Rohn says, hey, Discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. Discipline weighs ounces, but regret, it weighs tons. Tons. All right. Number nine, shortcuts without vision, shortcuts replace systems. When the vision isn't clear, people they begin chasing quick money, easy results, easy recruits, overnight success, right? Next opportunities, builders understand delayed gratification, trusting the process, trusting in the systems, understanding, hey, I'm building something and it may take some time, right? And then last but not least, number 10, you guys, entitlement replaces ownership. When you lack vision, entitlement replaces ownership. Okay? People begin believing that they deserve results that they haven't earned because they've been here a while, right? They say, well, I've been here for this long. I should be. Yeah, you should be. And nobody's stopping you. So let's talk about what happened. Because if you feel like you should be somewhere other than where you are because you've been here a while, that's because you probably have not put in the work to earn that position. In fact, it's a 100% the reason why you haven't earned that position. This is entrepreneurship. You guys, there's no participation trophies here. Just because you've been here 2 years, 3 years, like, hey, you got to do the work. Which means that, listen, even if you feel amazing and it's Friday and you just had a big cycle Tuesday, you better be your butt in the winner's circle. You can't check out at 2,000. We trying to make 2 million. You getting off the elevator a little premature. But that's that comfort default setting that happens. And when we don't define what we're really after here, right? We make a couple thousand and we say, I'll go to the convention next year. If the vision ain't clear, we make a couple thousand, we say, you know, I gotta take the kids out to the Santa Cruz thing because it's summertime and and we about to kick it and parlay and have fun. And it's like, can you really afford to you know what I'm saying? Are we celebrating premature? Because listen, I promise you guys, 5 years of focus, you can have whatever you want to have, go wherever you want to go, do whatever you want to do for however long you want to do it, with who you want to do it with, without worrying about how much it costs forever. And sometimes we trade forever in for right now, and right now is saying, hey, this ain't the time for that. And I know some of us don't want to hear that right now. But I would rather, okay, inconvenience you with the truth than coddle you with a lie. You might not like me for it today, but hopefully you'll love and respect me for it later. Because I care about you. I care about your dreams. I care about your kids. I care about your future. I care about your legacy. Right? Because if we're here and we parlaying off 5K, we might as well kept a job. It's easier. They got benefits, you know. They got some good coffee in the break room, all that. But if you're in your first 5 years in this business, This is hard hat and boots time because you're building something. You ever seen them old pictures? I love seeing them old vintage pictures, like when they was building like the Brooklyn Bridge and the Golden Gate Bridge, and you see them dudes like in black and white, and they like sitting up high, but the bridge, they still building the bridge. You ever seen them pictures before? Right? And them dudes all dusty and dirty and oily. And we just drive across that bridge like it ain't nothing now. We on our phone playing music. We crying across the bridge, right? But we're riding across that bridge so casually on the backs of people who put in work. That's how I want my grandchildren to live this life. That's how I want my great grandchildren to live this life. See, I don't mind sacrificing my fun, my comfort. I had my fun already. I did. I don't know about y'all, but we talking about wise. I'm 46 years old. It ain't too much under the sun. I ain't done. And I don't mean for you to feel like me, but I know some of y'all. And I know that it's that time for us. It's that time for us to start saying, hey, it's not about me no more. What am I willing to sacrifice? How clear am I willing to get about this vision? And what am I willing to do to make this happen? And what am I willing to not do? Where am I willing to show up? Okay. Everything worthwhile, you guys, we got to build it. People often say, I want success. Okay. But they really just want the benefits of success. Okay. They don't want to make the sacrifices. They don't want to do the discipline, repetition, delayed gratification, and be held accountable. But us, okay, we have to make sure that we have a very clear vision and a very clear why. And when we have a very clear vision and a very clear why, the work, you guys, the sacrifice, it becomes easier. Somebody says, well, Mr. Samad, I can't get up at 5 in the morning. I say, yes, you can. But the reason that you don't get up at 5 in the morning, if you felt like that was something that was important to you, is because your vision doesn't excite you to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's just the bottom line. That's just the bottom line. If there was a W 2 that was paying you $30+ an hour from in the form of a career with benefits and all that stuff, and they required for you to get up at 5 a.m. to get in some traffic, get dressed, show up on time, get yourself together, you wouldn't even question it for somebody else. But because we lack clarity on our own dream, it's not that we don't want it, we just don't have clarity. We take a back seat. We say, I'm going to get up at 7. I'm going to get up at 8. And we start exercising our choices. So I want to challenge a few people right now on this call this morning to talk about their why. Why are you here? Why are you in this business? When you talk about it, what does that mean for you? What does that look like for you? Mr. David Upton, are you unmuting, sir, because you want to speak? Yes, not.
Actually, no, that was unintentional, but I can go ahead and speak if I'm called on.
All good, brother. I don't want to put you on the spot if you wasn't trying to speak.
Uh, no, I'm definitely not trying to interrupt you, but if I'm being called on, I'm happy to speak.
No, yes, sir. If you want to share your why, what does it look like for you? When somebody
Sure.
says, do you want it? Right? What is it for you?
Yes, I've mentioned a few different times and different conversations here, uh, I think, like most people, and probably many of us, even on this platform, uh, I do come from a low to middle income background. And even now, I'm 42 and my parents are getting older. Uh, their parents, the ones that are still around, are getting older. And even now, I still see the consequences
Mm,
of, basically, let me call it like it is, the consequences of financial illiteracy. Um, I see that all around my family and my community, and even in my own life.
mhm.
And it's really hard. Um, there have been different times in my life when, if I'm being honest about it, I get bitter about those choices that I wasn't involved in, uh, that have impacted not only my life, but the life of my siblings and just, again,
Mm,
my community. And it's not through any fault of their own. I've said many times, and I think everybody on this platform would agree, my parents or anyone else's parents can't teach their children what they didn't know themselves.
right.
Uh, and so, in many ways, uh, the more I have learned about this work and the outreach that we do, the education that we do, when we're doing it the correct way. Um, it's really just such a powerful message, right? Uh, because it's funny. I even said to people, I feel like, and I don't mean to sound pessimistic, but I said, like, look, this is not for me. This is not for you. In some ways, because the wealth formula and the way time works, I said, we've already, in some ways, kind of missed out on the opportunities, but what we can do is step in and make sure that, my nieces and nephews and the children in our community don't also miss out on that opportunity. Um, so forgive me, I'm even getting shaky. I think you can hear my voice. I get emotional about it, but I just think it's a powerful message to be able to bring to people and say, look, um, with these sort of simple steps that you can put into place now, you're securing uh, you're securing a future that is just exponentially greater than it would be otherwise. Um, and so again, that's without droning on about it. That's my why is
Yes, sir.
coming
Love
from
that.
such a low income family. I think there's
Yeah.
there's so much power in what
Uh-oh, I think we lost you, David.
here in Stockton and Lodi, traditionally
Yeah.
low income place, but I imagine what would happen if everybody in the community uh, began to utilize these strategies, what the next generations in these cities would look like in these areas. And
Yes.
so I guess I'll put a pin in it with that, but that's my one.
Wow. Wow. Let's show David some love for just putting himself out there and being vulnerable, right? Because that's kind of what I want this call to be about this morning, you guys. Like, let's really, really take what we do from here to here, right? You know, he talked about, his why, and we always say, If your why don't make you cry, it's not strong enough. And I'm not saying cry right here on the call or anything like that, but what I am saying is you have to be connected to your reasons, and your reasons have to be strong. Because without strong reasons, you'll become so milestone driven that when you hit these milestones, right? BD, six figure ring, you'll realize that it's not enough. Come
Can I add to that?
on, Miss Aida.
I agree. Like we that come from very, low income families, we lacked a lot. But I think the lacking of income is not as bad as lacking the education. Because I do taxes and I can work with a family that makes 60,000 and they live pretty good. And then I work with a family that makes 200,000 and they're struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know what it's like to make 200,000 a year. How can you be struggling?
Yeah.
So it's not just about them making the income. It's about teaching them how to. You don't need everything society tells you need, right? The society, we're swimming against the current. Those of us that are trying to educate our community, we are swimming against the current because society is just putting pressure on everybody about you need this, you need that, you need a new phone every year, $1,200 phone every year, which you could be getting a life insurance policy for $100 a month. Like that's what I tell people. You can afford a new phone every year, but you can't afford a policy to protect you and your family. So it's more important to have a new phone. We need to speak it. We need to work against and be as loud as society is with expecting people to have brand new this, brand new that. Go shopping every weekend. We can't teach them to invest if they don't have the money to invest. So I tell them, okay, you don't feel like you can afford a policy. Let's do your budget. Let's work on your budget. Let's see where your money is going. Oh, wait, you're paying 30% interest on a $5,000 credit card. If you paid those $50 a month or save those $50 a month in the interest, then maybe we could help you afford a policy.
Yes, ma'am.
Like really digging in and educating everything financially and make people get uncomfortable because they don't want to be told not to spend because they have this, it's a psychology thing. Like I didn't have anything growing up, so I want everything now. Like, well, you don't need it. There's a difference between want and need, and you want to. I know so many people that just feel like they're gonna work for the rest of their lives because they don't know what it's. They have no concept of retiring. They have no concept of living a life where they don't have to work. It's not even an option for them to retire. It is so sad. So
let me
that's
ask
my
you a
why.
question. Let me ask you though, like underneath that though, right? Because I know you. I know that you really go above and beyond for your clients. I mean, you really have this attitude of ownership when it comes to your business, your clients. We've done appointments where you've driven to your clients' homes, you know, things of that nature, right? What's behind that for you? Like, what is it that's driving you from a personal standpoint to take that level of ownership, right? And to have that type of clarity on your mission in this business.
I think it's kind of what Mr. Upton was saying is that we weren't given the opportunity to have a better chance because our parents were uneducated, because our parents didn't know any better. It's the same thing. I teach parenting classes and I tell people our parents did the best that they could. And it's the same thing in finances. They did the best that they could. But I also have noticed that this information isn't freely available. Those of us that have college degrees, we know that we didn't get Even as with a college degree, we didn't get this information. We didn't get this education. So we have to seek it out. And that's not fair that we have to seek it out, because all the debt seeks us. Credit cards, they come to us, to our door. Why doesn't this information come to our door as readily? There's a reason. There's a reason that they want to keep us uneducated. They want to keep us paying that 30% interest on our credit cards. They want to keep us paying 20% interest on our vehicles, because the rich are getting richer. They don't want to spread out the wealth. And we are the hardworking people, and we should have some of it. And what's holding us back is us, and the lack of information, the lack of education. And there's some people that just don't want to learn it, because they feel like this is what my life is supposed to be. We're so brainwashed to believe this is who we're supposed to be. This is why it's hard to get people to see the vision of being a business owner, because they're so brainwashed. You know, from the time you start going to school, you're taught to sit in the class in a row, and someone's telling you what to do the whole time. Education is out there, freely available to anybody and everybody. A classroom is not the only place where you can get educated. But we rely on other people to educate us, and we rely on other people to tell us what to do or how to live or it's a hard thing to break. And so I want to give my family, show them that is not the only option. My kids know. I mean, they don't, again, raising my kids, I was raising them against what society believes. Oh, you're too strict, or, you should no, I'm going to raise my kids how I want to raise my kids. And it's the same thing with finances. Oh, you should have even my son, when I bought the current vehicle that I have, like, Mom, you have good credit, you have a good job, you should get a brand new car. I'm like, why? Why? I don't want a brand new car. I don't want to spend $50,000, $30,000 on a vehicle. I don't want to be paying this car for another 5-6 years, and no. But it's that brainwash. They're brainwashed. No matter what I've taught him, society is so much stronger. What they're learning in society, that it's hard to fight against what's surrounding them every day.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, when I talk to Miss Aida, you guys, like, these are the kind of conversations that we have. And you got, I hope y'all taking notes. She said, you got to be as loud as society about your mission. She said, credit cards show up to your door every day, and you don't second guess it, but you second guess telling people about financial literacy. And we're shy about talking to people. That's why I always say, if you won't talk to everybody, you won't talk to anybody. If you won't talk to everybody, you won't talk to anybody. They are unapologetic about putting you and your kids in a 30% interest rate. They don't ask you for permission. You got an 18-year-old kid, a 16, 19-year-old kid, they gonna send them that information. Don't let them be in college. But then we get gun shy about financial literacy and financial liberation. I love that, right? Listen, you guys, it is okay to be radical about a worthy cause. Please write that down. Please internalize that. It is okay to be radical about a worthy cause. You know what's wrong with this industry? Too many people trying to be life insurance agents. Too many people trying to posture like financial professionals instead of people. This is what makes OIC so beautiful and so different, because you could really be yourself here and be like, listen, listen, you need this information. Anyways, Aida, that was powerful. Thank you so much for sharing your why. Anybody else want to talk about what why looks like for them, what it looks like for them? Come on,
I'll
KJ.
share real quick. Um, I'm thankful for the leadership on this platform, and we're all leaders. So when I say leadership, I'm speaking about all of us.
Yes,
The
sir.
things that Mr. Upton, Miss Aida just said really resonate. And it's glad to see that. I'm in a room with people who are passionate about their cause as well, and see ourselves as the life changers. Not only for ourselves, but for our families, for our bloodlines, and everybody that comes after us, and everybody we come across. So my why, I'm glad we're having this call today because this is something that I needed to revisit without really knowing that consciously. Like
Mhm.
just being tested in so many different ways, but I'm seeing like I did have to revisit this. So my why, what's hurting you? I am a financial expert. I'm showing
Mhm.
my family, my bloodline, a different financial lifestyle. I will expose us all to financial freedom. I know this is my purpose. So that's something I tell myself every day when I'm doing my affirmations because I know with the talents that I've been given through God and blessed me with these talents. If I don't do it, if I don't take the risk for my family, for my bloodline, for my legacy, then I don't know if anybody else will ever even take the feat. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
pursue this. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah, that's what keeps me going every day. And days like this where I may wake up a little later and not be as motivated. Um, Revisiting that, right, allows me to stop just going through the motions and instead put some oomph into it, put some power behind what I'm saying. And yeah, last but not least, the whole identity thing, I see myself being molded like this is my identity. Like when people see me, they see this, right? They see OIC, they see, you know, me being a financial professional, they see this. So incorporating this into who I am, my everyday lifestyle, um,
Yes.
I see the passion and the difference that it's been making, not only with, friends and family, but with anybody I come across. Like this is who I am and the world is going to know that. So
Let's go, KJ. Let's show KJ some love, man. For sharing his why. You looking at a young man in his 20s speaking with that much clarity, right? Listen, brother, appreciate you. You don't know how much you inspire so many of us on this platform. I get so many phone calls about you, sir. You and Nico. We everybody is rooting for y'all, man. Um, and it's so true. Um, you reminded me of something, Kyrie, and I'm gonna pass it to you, Hans. Give me 2 seconds. Jim Rohn used to always say it's not about the blowing of the wind, but the setting of the sail that determines your destination. The wind is gonna blow on all of us, but we could either leverage that wind in our favor to get to a desirable destination, or we can complain about the wind blowing altogether. But the wind is going to blow on us all. And when we got a clear vision, we have a clear destination, a clear path, we just look at the wind and say, hey, let's place the sails in favor of that wind blowing and leverage that wind in our favor and let that wind get us to the destination that we desire the most, right? And that's what a clear why and a clear vision can do for you, right? Hans Augustine, and then Miss Betty Hall can close us out.
Give me 1 second, guys. I'm not gonna really be long because I'm moving, but the call reminded me to share everybody that what you guys just shared was extremely valuable. I did a needs analysis with a couple that was in their 60s yesterday, the 63, and the husband. And that was the very, 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 very first time they ever had a budget or financial conversation ever before. She was so overwhelmed last night. What was interesting, the family made about $108,000, but there was like 2,000. Miss Ida said something that struck my attention. That's the only reason why I opened up the call. I was listening the whole time. This family was spending well over $2,000 in like just unknown spaces of, because there was the reason why it was scary for her. There was no retirement plan in place. You said two things. I don't want to get. I want to give Miss Betty the call, but what got my attention was that when you said take off your insurance hat, and then Miss Ida also said that this information was never given technically or never received, and this couple was a perfect example of never receiving it. And when we were running the numbers in the budget, and I was in, I guess I was in full, and they like shortcutting it anyway, and we ran through it because she just seemed like she needed it, and we found like $2,000 worth of money just going out the door. And just to be fair to her, almost 1,000 of it was just in beverage. And a lot of money was just leaving the door, and but there was no retirement plan. There's no life insurance in place. They didn't even understand how they're going to retire. They didn't know what their social security numbers were. They didn't even know that they really should take that into consideration. And I asked them one key question. I said, well, 4 years from now, if you were going to retire, how much did you think you were going to have in income? And she said, I don't really know. And so all I'm saying to everybody is that if you do take off your insurance hat consistently, not only will you feel positive about what you've done, but you will find a way to help people because they really do need it. You will be successful here if you take that hat off, because people really do need this. That was real life example. I was personally overwhelmed even when I sat down with them because I didn't realize it was that unknown for them. And one more thing, there was no health insurance in place because the health insurance that they were carrying one time through the job became so expensive that in order for them to and I was like, well, you guys actually have the money. We just need to make sure that you redirect. And Ida said, sometimes, I don't know if that's what she said, but that's what I heard. Don't be scared to tell these people the truth. You don't have to be rude, but you say, ma'am, this is no disrespect to you, but there's a lot of money here. I just need to help you redirect it because we can put a plan together. So, but great call so far. I'll let Ms. Betty close it out. I don't want to hog any spaces, but I was touched by listening to everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And no, it's so true. What you're saying, Hans. We sometimes, and what I'm getting to is, and what I meant when I said, what's wrong with this industry is life insurance agents, right? Because some people are very literal. What I'm saying is, be professional, be a life insurance agent, but don't be so caught up in your professional persona, right? That you can't relate to people and connect with people who need your help. That's what I'm saying, right? And like Hans is saying, sometimes you got to be willing to cut like the surgeon, right? Meaning that I'm cutting to help you. I'm not cutting to hurt you, but I got to cut. I tell you the truth here, right? Listen, where is $2,000 a month unaccounted for? You guys are in your 50s. There's no retirement plan and there's no insurance. This is an emergency. And you need to go on the damn surgery table because we need to think about what you've been thinking about. And you know what? People may not always like what we have to say, but again, right? Our job is not to always be liked. It's to serve. And sometimes service ain't about likability. I got some clients that, I've said some things to and they say, you know what? I'm happy you said that to me. I'm happy you had the courage to tell me the truth. Miss Betty, it's on you, my dear.
Thank you,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. And thanks for all of the shares, Mr. David and Hans. you guys, you're all an inspiration to me. Let me just start there. I'm going to tell you what my why is. I've shared it, but I know that there's some new people on the line, so I want to share it with all of you and let you know why you're such an inspiration. And it is because, my why is my daughter, who passed away in 2019. My daughter was 27 when she passed away. So when I see a Neat, or I see a Shy, or I see a KJ, wow, it really just fills my heart, and it just really gives me, it gives me courage and incentive to keep on going, because you guys are you're young, you're in your youth. And as we know, and we have learned on this platform, is my and your health. So now in your 20s, building agency, and you're growing, and you're getting this literacy and education so that you can, change the financial trajectory of your family. It's life changing, and it's a mantle. It's a heavy weight. It's not light. And sometimes you can become discouraged in the journey. You can become discouraged from your loved ones, from your family, from your friends, from the very people who you feel or thought that would be your biggest supporters. But, but God, and He always provides. If the mantle is on you, then He's given you the strength to carry it. Although it may seem some days that, that you may fall or that you may fumble it, but just know that He's there and He's got you. And it may not seem like the way that you think it should go, or your, agency may not be growing to the extent that you want it to, but also remember it's in who you're becoming. I'm a little older than you guys. I'm 52. So, and I'm still yet becoming. I'm still yet evolving into the leader and into the heir of what He wants me to be, whether that's a billionaire, a trillionaire, or whatever the case may be, which is what all of us are here on this platform, because He wishes above all that we prosper and be in health even as our souls prosper. So I just speak, increase to everyone on here. I encourage you guys to keep going. Don't give up. Even when you're scared, do it. I went to some small businesses yesterday and just got out and just walked, the downtown area, and just went and just had some conversations. And you just never know who you're going to get connected to, because the picture is so much bigger than just you. It's like a really, really huge picture, and you're changing people's lives. So I just thank you guys. I thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey, and for you to be a part of mine. So,
Yes.
thank you for letting me share, Mr. Suni.
Let's go. Let's go, Miss Betty. Wow. Wow. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So many takeaways from that, Miss Betty, and just kind of knowing everything that you're currently going through right now. You know what I mean? But still showing up, being present, because when the vision is big and the vision is clear, the day-to-day obstacles have no real value. They cannot phase you, right? But when the vision is small and unclear, the day to day stuff becomes a debacle, right? It's a challenge. I'm hungry right now. I'm this, I'm that. This is going on. But when the vision is clear and you got a big vision, listen, you become completely unstoppable, you guys. And so I'm happy we heard from a lot of folks this morning. Super inspirational call. You guys, check in with yourself, get with a leader today and say, listen, I want to talk about my why. I want to revisit my vision, because sometimes our whys change, right? But let me get clear on my reasons. Let me get clear on my why. Let me get clear on the vision as to why I show up here every single day, right? So that I can maintain the focus to get to the destination. Y'all have a blessed day. I appreciate you guys. I will be training the Infinite Eight system today. So some of you guys, I'll see you on there. Other than that, if you guys need me, call, right? Appreciate everybody. Have a blessed day.